Phone's on.
Sí,
Bam.
hablo español poquito.
No. Bam, we're live. Oh, I should have done that in Spanish. Bam, we live-o. Brian Friend, J.R. Howell, Sevan Matosian, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. What a difference it is when you're on the East Coast. I can't believe it's 9 p.m. for you. Your kids down, J.R.?
They are.
Peace and love. Brian, your kids are down?
Yep.
Awesome. What a show. This weekend, we have 3 events.
3 competitions.
4 events. 3 competitions.
We have to get the language right.
Okay, tell me. What is it? You can do the introduction.
The Atlas game is a competition that consists of a series of events.
Okay. And Copa Sur is a place for Guy to showcase his skills. Kind of different.
There are 30 men competing there.
Under the guise of a competition. Copa Sur, S-U-R. And then finally, we have strength and depth.
Strength and Dickens.
Strength and Dickens, yes. Are any of these like the one? Like last week we had the Granite Games, and people were saying, okay, this is the one for the men. This is like if you can only watch one and you want to watch men's competition, this is watch Granite Games. That's the one. If you can only watch one of these, there's 3 competitions, and there's men and women. So let's say 6 total. Which one do you watch? I think I know the answer. Is it women's strength and depth?
No.
It's not? No. Okay, so then it's Atlas male.
I would say so, yes.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Brian?
The reason being is because you want to see the best, and they have the second best guy in the world.
I want to start with strength and depth for a second. They have the second best guy, meaning Patrick Vellner.
Yeah. And if you look at the rest of the semifinals and who's their best player, Guy's 7th, right? And Yonikoski was 6th or 8th, right in there last year, coming back off of an injury. And for the women, Emma McQuaid was just outside the top 10. There's no one in the women's field at Atlas Games or South America.
And if for some reason Patrick Vellner were to win the CrossFit Games this year, it wouldn't be like a massive shock.
I think there's a lot of people who think he still can do it. I think that if anyone has a chance to take down Medeiros, he's the best bet right now. But I still think it would be surprising. Justin has been exceptionally good every time we've seen him in the last 10 months.
JR, if anyone were, if is it more likely that Patrick Vellner, is it less shocking if Patrick Vellner beats Justin Medeiros than Laura Horvat or Mallory O'Brien beating Tia Toomey?
No, it's about 10 times less shocking.
Yeah, okay, I agree. What do you think, Brian? 10 times?
At least.
Yeah, okay. So Patrick does. Wow, Dallas is saying Patrick won't qualify. Well, I mean, when is the last time we saw Patrick compete?
He won Wadapalooza most recently.
Okay. It's funny. I don't even remember him being there. Who else was there? What happened there? What happened at Wadapalooza? How did he do? I only remember Taylor there.
That's what you remember?
I remember him in that swimming and running event, and I remember him coming in. I remember Rich Froning yelling like in that meeting when they were talking about changing the event from shuttle to burpees. I'm trying to think who else I remember being there.
Yeah, I mean, Brian can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that, out of the gates, Phil made a huge splash, but then as the weekend waned and they did the long endurance event, Pat just kind of continued to separate himself throughout the weekend.
Which is, it was the way that that Vellner performed at Wadapalooza was, just kind of steady across the board, and he didn't necessarily have the lead the entire time, but he was able to be more consistent down the stretch than everyone else. And it was kind of like Fikowski this past weekend. He was never in the lead until the end of the final event, and then he was on top.
I think Vellner took Wadapalooza very seriously. I think he wanted the money. I think from there he went to some island, right? He went to like Aruba or something.
Yeah, he had a little vacation.
Yeah. And I think I remember we talked to him, and he was pretty pumped. It made his vacation better knowing he was taking like $100,000 in his pocket with him or something crazy like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, the athletes have no real they can't determine what the prize spot is, and the prize purse at Wadapalooza was heavily favored towards first place, and he won first place. So great day for him.
Who took second?
Alexander Caron.
Wow. Was Adler there?
Adler?
No,
I don't think so.
No.
I don't remember. No, but there were 3 Canadians on the podium.
I'm struggling staying here because there's a question. I watched all the videos over on Morning Chocolate that you did with Lauren Khalil, and there's something about strength and depth that's just itching at me that I want to ask you, but I just having to keep push it down. So sorry, I just keep pushing it down. Wait, I must not be looking at something right. Am I tripping? What am I looking at here? Oh, this is 2021. I was like, why is Fikowski in this mess? Okay. Here we go. Okay. That's not right either, right? Because I see, it switched to, sorry. Maybe someone will come and relieve me who knows what they're doing. Semifinals Atlas Games 2022. Is there anyone in here? Is there anyone in here who's going to surprise us? This is their year. Yes.
Why don't you pull up my Instagram where I put out my rankings this morning?
Oh, I'd love to do that. It's actually your rankings at strength and depth that I'm struggling with.
I figured that much. But otherwise, we can't really see what's going on the screen there. What was your question, though?
Who's the dark horse here? Are there any legitimate dark horses here?
Yeah, I would say so. I wrote about a guy in the Morning Chocolate article I did called Benoit Boulanger. He's a tall guy, young, recent in the sport. Caroline Lambright coaches him. He was at Wadapalooza. He finished 22nd there, which is not that impressive necessarily, but I think that there's a couple workouts you could do well on here. He seemed to have, he's still getting stronger. He'll probably be hurt by the fact that there's not a super long workout at this competition, but he could be a fringe guy that, 8 to 10, kind of flirting with LCQ spot that you don't know about. But if you want a guy who can make the top 5 that you don't know much about, I would keep an eye on probably Peter Mason.
You're number 8.
Yeah, he's I don't know as much about him as I'd like to, but I've heard quite a few good reports about him, and he was been pretty steady through the season so far.
Peter Mason. Okay, I'm going to pull up his Instagram too. There's no new big names in this division, right? These are all old faithfuls. Patrick Vellner, Jeffrey Adler, Alexander Caron, Alex Vigneault, Cedric Lapointe. And maybe the most disappointing out of the bunch is Alex Vigneault, right? Like he's the one that we've wanted. Would you say that? No.
Disappointing.
No? Meaning we've expected more from him.
Well, I think at least one of the years that everyone expected so much, he got hurt.
Right. Vomitus. That's how that's how I remember him. I remember him as the new poster boy coming on the scene and him not doing what he's supposed to do.
He's actually an interesting case study because he was 11th in 2015 and he was 8th last year. That's 6 years apart. And in between there, he only had one other really good year. He's had, like you said, some illnesses, some injuries that have prevented him from being at the top level. But to have the ability to basically be about the 10th fittest guy on earth 6 years apart as the sports continue to evolve, that says quite a lot about him, actually.
Yeah, and I eat those words. He did that well at the games last year?
Yeah.
And he's a full-time cop.
I don't know about that anymore. I'm not sure.
Do any of these other guys have full-time jobs? I know Cedric runs a gym, right?
Cedric is trying to make the games, man. He is desperate to make the games.
And why do you say that? Did you talk to him?
Yeah, I know him. He's he's extremely passionate. He knows how fit he is. He just hasn't done it yet. He made a really, really bad error in the beginning of the week last year at West Coast Classic that he could never come back from. And I think if he doesn't have a bad mistake this weekend, that he has a really good chance to make it.
And when you say a bad mistake, you're saying it's something that didn't have to happen. It wasn't that he failed a thruster or he couldn't do a rope climb. What happened?
Do you
Well,
remember, Jay?
ironically, what I was going to say, ironically, that kind of is what happened. It was a execution error, probably just with urgency and speed, but the legless rope climbs ended up being something that brought him to failure.
That was the legless rope climb thruster workout? No,
Yes.
he was failing on the legless rope climbs, but he was getting a ton of no reps on his thrusters. And he
Right.
said he did maybe 20 extra thrusters in that workout and it just burned him out.
No lockout at the top or no squatting at the bottom, or do we know what his issue is?
I can't remember, but he just was, it's on him. He wasn't changing within whatever his judge was asking him to do or telling him that he wasn't doing.
Do you know if any of these guys are waning?
I don't think so. I mean, I think Vellner's pretty locked in this season. I think he pretty much as good as he's ever been right now. Adler, same thing. I think he's still actually getting better. Caron, I think, is improving. Vigneault's the one that's like a little bit questionable just because he hasn't been as consistent year in and year out, but I haven't heard anything otherwise. No, I think that all of these guys are about as good or better than they were last year.
It's too bad. I really want to know more what Vigneault has been doing. That is really impressive what you said he's been doing last year. And last year, I guess the wild card for Vellner was it was the first year going to the game since he had a child. He seemed to pull it off. And now you could argue or you could speculate that it's been a year and things have settled down. They've gotten into a routine and he's probably even fitter than he was last year, or at least his training is tightened up.
Yeah, maybe so. I mean, you could also argue that it was the first year he was healthy, because if you remember in 2020, he was dealing with the groin injury that possibly kept him out of qualifying for the games then due to the front squat. And so he had a full year of training under his belt, almost healthy. And now it's been almost 2 years of that, probably outside of a few nicks here and there.
Did you hear the other day when he was on the show, he said that after he fell off the net, he bruised his lung and he was spitting blood?
Sevan, come on, you must have known that.
I did not know that. That's common knowledge. That's crazy. I had no idea. That's intense. And they let him keep going.
They did.
The theys let him keep going. I'm impressed. I'm impressed. The women over here. Tell me what do you want to talk about the men? Do you want to go back to the men?
No.
Okay.
Wherever you want.
The women over here, it is there's nothing here. There's what is this? I'm gonna start off just really harsh here. Do any of these women can any of these women beat the women who are in the last chance qualifier already? If we took the 5 best people from the last chance qualifier and put them in this division, do they all beat all these girls?
Let me tell you who I think are the 5 best women in the last chance qualifier right now, and you tell me.
Okay.
The best women in this field, the only 3 that I think you can really make an argument for are Freya Moosbrugger. Do you know anything about her?
No, a little bit, but just a little. Just what you taught me.
Emma Lawson.
Yep, I know about her.
She's 17.
Uh-huh.
Just for reference, Freya was 10th at Wadapalooza. Emma was 9th at Dubai this past season.
Okay, good stuff.
And your girl, Carolyn Prevost.
Who has games experience?
She was 27th last year.
And was that her first year at the games?
No, she was 12th in 2019. She got cut in the same round of cuts as Annie Thorsdottir, Laura Horvath, a bunch of other women.
Wow. And her weakness is strength. She got a strength issue.
Well, she's pretty good. She's pretty good in this field, and she'll probably make the games. But relative to the games field and the top 15 women, she has more than one deficiency against that group of women.
Right. And then you have Danny Horan, who's been around forever.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is about someone like that, in any other field, I wouldn't think she has any chance at all. But here, I think there are 10 women probably that are like, holy cow, this might be my best chance to ever make it or to ever make it back. And that's, for them, that's a super exciting thing.
If you wanted to get excited about this field, who would you be looking at? What stories would you be telling yourself? What would you be spinning?
I'm excited to see Paige Powers. I mean, she's kind of given an opportunity here with the field being backfilled so many times. She's a mayhem athlete. She's young. And with a lot of the programming in this event being very dense and some high level gymnastic skills like parallel handstand push-ups, I would imagine she's going to excel.
And I
Same with
think
Allison. Go ahead.
Same with who?
Same with Allison Scudds. It seems like she's usually excited to see a lot of the higher skill gymnastics movements, knowing that strength is usually something that she's working on, but going off of what Justin Kotler's saying, she's really fit right now. So that's another one with a real opportunity to qualify this year.
And she's been around forever, and she's been trying forever, and she was on the demo team, and she's little. She's 5'3", 140. Do you think any of these women make it in the top 20 in the games, Brian?
Yeah, probably one.
And when you say top 20, you mean 19th?
16 to 20.
Are we okay with this happening? This is we're in north of. No, we're not.
No, there's no. I mean, look, it's we listened to Justin Berg and Adrian Bosman talk. They've been kind enough to talk on many platforms over the course of the last couple months. And one of the things that he talks about is being fair in the distribution of seedings. And, there's 7 women that are backfilled into this field. And there's, I think, 8 or 9 total amongst the other 3. And on the men's side, every single backfill spot is in Canada, is at the Atlas Games. There were 0 at the Syndicate, MAC, and Granite Games combined. And that's, if you want to throw around the word fair, then do something like that, it pretty much loses its meaning very quickly.
I don't know what you mean that there were 0 backfills there.
I mean that the top 120 men make a semifinal. Anyone who gets an invitation after that is considered a backfill.
Okay.
Because CrossFit didn't think about the fact that many people might not be able to get to Montreal as easily, they didn't fill that one first, which is what they should have done. And as a result, it was very empty. And so they just kept backfilling people into there because the other 3 in North America were full.
Wow. And how many were backfilled into this event?
I think it was
A third.
8.
Yeah, almost.
But there's only 28 guys, I think, competing and 27 women. They don't even have a full field. Or maybe that's strength and depth. They also don't have a full field at strength and depth. I don't know why.
Last minute cancellations?
No, I'm not really sure what happened at strength and depth. I haven't had a chance to do as much research on this as I wanted to, but Giannis Papadopoulos is competing in the Masters division, and from what I can understand, they never extended a backfill invite to anyone who could have replaced him, and they did do that in North America with when women like Jen Ryan and Rebecca Voigt-Miller went out, then they extended some backfills to fill the spots at Granite Games. So all I know is that the 63rd guy was invited. Giannis decided to go Masters, and the 64th guy never got an invite. So I'm not really sure what happened there.
Couldn't it be like fighting where you just have a couple guys who you'd be like, hey, if you show up to the event and it's the last minute. I mean, it's not the games. The lanes don't need to be perfect, right? The name placards don't need to be perfect. You could handwrite them in. I mean, we saw that even in Korea, where it was a beautiful venue, they had the weights handwritten. And somewhere else, the wind was blowing so hard in the complex, the weights were all wrong. And so, am I thinking about this right? That they could just have people there, like at fights. Hey, we got a backup fighter here. Be ready if you want. There's a chance you could be plugged in.
You have a thought on that, JR?
It would probably add some fun and excitement to some people that didn't even know the people were on the roster before they competed that weekend.
Hey, I've seen it happen before. We were in Ireland, Filthy 150. Dylan Malitsky was there. He was going to do some of the emceeing, and his girlfriend at the time, Katie Price, was there. She's a fringe competitive athlete anyway. There was a lane opened up. Someone withdrew. She entered into the field and competed, filled the lane. And it was cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
Last year at the games, Tyler Christoffel was there hoping to do the same thing when Roman didn't show up, since he'd taken 3rd on the last chance qualifier. And CrossFit said, nope, this spot's Roman's even if he doesn't make it.
Don't forget, Danny Horan is responsible for bringing Matt Fraser into the sport. We do know that I think it's Danny Horan's husband or boyfriend. He is, I think I recall doing the behind the scenes, and he was back there as Matt's coach at some point. I think I remember seeing that. Cool cat. Always wore this funky beanie even when it was hot as shit. So you won't be blown back if Danny makes it to the games this year.
I'll be surprised, but I think it's a better opportunity than I expected her to have.
Do you think she's here? If she's here to win it, You think she's just playing around? She just came just to fool around just because, okay, I made it just because of the quarterfinals? Or you think she's here to go to the games?
Sevan, are you or JR, are you muted?
No.
No, he was talking. You didn't hear him?
I thought he tried to say something and no sound came out.
What do you think? What do you think, JR? Is anyone here to fool around? Because I think if she's not here to fool around, as I recall, her biggest hang up was her head. She was a bit of a mess when she competed. But she had all the skills.
This may be completely wrong, but I want to say last time I remember seeing Danny like at a camp, training camp, she was with TTT. And then I think she took a full year off from competing. Maybe she was injured or maybe she just decided not to compete. So as far as I know, maybe this is her first year in 2 or 3 years back competitively. So she must feel good.
Yeah, I haven't seen her name. I haven't seen Brian bring up her name. Brian, thoughts?
Well, it's one of these things that you like to talk about. She hasn't really been competitive for a couple of years. Can she come back and be relevant? You don't think so?
I don't know, man. This is, if she's going to, this is the field. You know, when I don't want to, I like Allison Scudds. I don't want to say anything bad about her either, but I look at the field like people like her. I think of her as like, you know, taking pictures with Danny Spiegel on Instagram, you know? And I see Danny Horan as like, I know Allison wants to go, but I see someone like Danny Horan and she's 34 and she's 5'6" and 150. And it's like, this is her last hurrah. And is she healthy? Is she ready to go? Her husband's serious as a heart attack. We already established that he fucked with Fraser. He knows what he's doing. I'm going to get behind Danny Horan. She's my Colton Mertens.
Well, don't go so far as that.
She doesn't get a baseball card yet. I mean, we need something. We need an excuse to watch this. I like this other girl up here, Allie Duckworth, just because of her name.
Okay.
5'1", 135. Allie.
She was the last one in.
She was?
140, I think, quarterfinals.
Who invited this? Did one of you guys invite him?
All right, now we're talking.
I love how anyone thinks they can just invite anyone onto my show now.
This is not just anyone.
Justin Cotler, you're not supposed to be on for another 3 hours. Oh, there she is.
What up?
Just talking some shit about you, Miss Scudds.
You were?
Yeah.
Oh.
How serious are you, Allison?
What do you mean?
Are you serious as a heart attack?
Yeah. I'm always serious. You know me, Sevan.
I do know you. I see you work hard, but like I just see all your Instagram stuff, and I'm like, and just all your, I just wonder. I was like, man, maybe she's got too much time on social media and she's not crushing it.
Hey, got to hustle to pay the bills, but yeah, this guy knows I've been working.
How long have you been with that guy?
8 months now. Yeah, I moved out after the games.
I know they say you're supposed to just do as good as you can do.
Okay.
But you look at this
really only as well as you could do.
As good as okay. You guys know how to say it smart like. But as you look at this group of girls, have you ever just put the list in front of you and just cross off the ones you know you can beat and see who's left?
No, I haven't done that.
God, that would be a great game to play with you.
I mean, I guess we'll be able to do that after this weekend.
Love these questions.
Sevan, they're up there. They're in Montreal. They went to the check-in today. Ask them how it was up there.
And how is crossing the border? Did you get secondary?
Do we get secondary? No.
Yeah. They didn't accuse you of being all juiced up because they saw like a bicep or something on a girl?
No.
Even I get accused of being juiced up when I cross into Canada.
No, it's easy.
Has registration taken place?
Yep, that was today. We did the briefing for the first 2 events.
And how was that?
Easy, normal.
Justin, how many briefings have you heard?
He wasn't allowed to go to this one.
Oh yeah, they wouldn't let coaches in the briefing. Mm-hmm.
And is that standard?
No, that's not standard.
I think it was like a capacity
No,
issue.
it's not standard.
Capacity issue. Where was the briefing?
They had it up in this like conference room.
Don't get me started.
Yeah, get started. Well, at the games, they don't let the coaches in the briefings either, right?
Yeah, spectators with limited access. That's
Yeah.
going to be written on
The games, they can be nearby.
fucking
They're not like
tombstone.
on the bleachers, but they're nearby.
Allison, are you the fittest you've ever been in your life?
Absolutely.
And this has been how many years do you have invested into this goal of going to the games?
I think this is number 8. Yeah.
Yeah, you've been you're like a Labrador. You just refuse to stop chasing that ball.
Absolutely. That's it.
Is your boyfriend there with you?
He is.
Let me
He's in
see
the
him.
other room.
Let me see Superman.
We'll say hi. Come on over.
Let me
Ross.
see. Let me see Clark if he's there.
Oh yeah,
Is he there with those big old giant thighs? There he is.
he's a good-looking boy.
Hey, that dude didn't get stopped at secondary.
Nah, man, got cleared right through.
Oh my goodness. Allison, being in Canada, going there as an American, you're kind of going into their turf. Any lack of home field advantage or anything like that? Anything psychological? Or it just feels like CrossFit?
No, not at all. I mean, when they had sanctionals, I went to Brazil, China, London. So I feel really experienced traveling, and the events are later, but we're in Eastern time. So it almost like links up perfectly to when we normally train. So if anything, there's even less of an adjustment there.
And Justin, they don't have to raise the pull-up bar for her.
No,
Oh man,
I'm more of like a 2 riser kind of girl.
Are you 2 riser? You gonna use 2 risers?
I think for the rings, yeah, not for the pull-up bar, but
Have you seen Danny Horan?
we did. Yeah,
How does she look?
she looks strong.
She looks great.
Like, yeah.
I love Danny.
And-
Danny
and-
and I go way back.
Was her coach there with her? The guy with the beanie, the boyfriend coach,
That's her husband.
husband, coach, whatever.
Jade, yes, he was there.
Jade.
Yeah.
Good shit. All right, well, man, I'm. You just gave me a reason, like more of a reason to watch. I was asking these guys, what's the reason to watch, and now we got Allison Scudds right in front of us. Gives us a little bit of an emotional appeal, and I think I'm going to put you on my list. I wanted Danny Horan to win, but I'll add you to the list too.
Thanks, Sevan.
You're welcome.
That's just because you have a short-term memory. You don't remember we did a great podcast with Allison last year.
Yeah, I do remember.
You said she's your girl. I'm pulling for you next year.
Oh, I did say that. Dave made me have her on the show. Dave's like, you get this demo. She's the demo team captain. She's the bomb. You got to have her on. But all right. No, every time I've worked with Allison, she's been amazing. Crazy hard worker, committed. I'm really impressed that you've stuck with it for so long. When I think of you, I think of someone who just refuses to give up.
Thanks, Sevan. I really appreciate that. That's kind of, why I love the sport and why it's kind of like a self-fulfilling goal, right? Like I just want to inspire others to go after their dreams too and just keep working hard and never giving up.
Justin, do you have any other athletes there?
Just Allie.
Okay.
Oh, we got matching tats. You want to see?
Yes.
We really did.
Wait. We got to go this way.
Can you see it?
Oh my goodness. Oh my. Those please tell me those aren't real.
You'll have to find out in about 2 weeks.
Oh, Canada. Is that the maple leaf?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't approve. I don't approve of that vulgarity.
That's too good.
Cool.
All right, guys.
Chat. Just wanted to say hi.
Yeah, thank you. What a pleasure and honor to have you on, especially right as I was talking smack about you and questioning you. And you just
There you go.
bam, there you are.
Yeah, just wait and see.
Answer all my dreams.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Okay. Bye.
Good luck this weekend.
Thanks.
Thank you.
See you,
Yeah.
Justin.
Thanks, Mr.
Yeah, I
Kotler.
just want to
Great
say
surprise,
also, I
brother.
don't keep up with all the, stats and everything that Brian does when I'm competing. But last year, I did make him lose a bet. So just saying, he has been wrong before.
He didn't jump on the hating train when I was
All
questioning
right.
you. He
all right.
believed in you.
He knows. He
believed
got
in you.
burned last year. He's
Yeah,
like-
yeah, he knows.
Not twice in a row.
all right, guys. Night.
Always a pleasure, boys.
Thank you.
See you,
Bye,
brother.
guys.
So
Thanks,
as
man.
I was saying, Allison's a shoe-in for this. Okay. She's got this shit in the
Yeah,
fucking
there we
can.
go.
Oh, the train comes at Brian's house.
Bye, guys.
All right, later, brother.
Oh, yeah,
my
there is a
goodness.
train there. Isn't that nice?
You're savage, Brian. You're savage. Savage. Okay. Our buddy Taylor Self is having surgery tomorrow on his elbow. Taylor. No, not his elbow. Our buddy Taylor's having surgery tomorrow on his cranium. Oh, shit. Our buddy Taylor tomorrow is having surgery on his knee. Better? Yes.
Better.
Taylor Self. Buddy, I hope everything goes good. I just took a moment of silence for you. And we'll be seeing you on the show, I guess, soon, right after. He did tell us it's just in and out, right, JR?
Yeah, but he's got to have 2 surgeries.
But the first one is just there's one tomorrow is the first one, correct?
Correct.
And then they send him home.
Yeah.
And he said he'll be around to help us with the shows tomorrow. Not that
far
I
as I
care. Not that I'm worried about that. And he said
He's
he
not
won't be on.
he's not gonna have anything else to do.
And he's not going to be on any pain pills.
He's not. He was very adamant. I asked him about that yesterday. He said nope.
Yeah. And what is this I have here as a special note I wanted to bring up also? Let me see if I can. What's going on here? Not that. Oh, and this is something I wanted to share. I don't know if you guys saw this over from Wad Zombie to Louis to support our fellow sports guy. Don't be nervous, Brian. It's fine. Don't be nervous. Here we go.
I'd like to take this. I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody.
Yes. The great Chase Ingram from Get With The Programming podcast, being cantankerous as usual. Danny Horan is the only name in that crew I really know who's competed at that level. And Carolyn Prevost. I'm glad Allison Scudds came on. I'm excited to watch it. I hope it's close. If it stays close and everything stays close and tight, I mean, I think it can be a good entertaining event.
There will be an opportunity there. There'll be some women that surprise people, and probably 1 or 2 that make a name for themselves here, that are in the fight, kind of, that 5 through 7 spot. I think that what we've seen the semifinal, most of the time it is close, and I would expect with such a wide open field that ends up happening. I mean, it'll narrow down quite a bit, but I think
you can't even look at this field and be like, hey, in 5 years, this girl could be a top 5 games athlete. They don't even have that. Oh, I guess Emma Lawson, right?
They've got 3 20 or younger that are all pretty good, especially Emma, and Freya's 20. So yeah, I definitely think we have that. One thing I do think we need to make note of is, although we can't see these ladies do these workouts comparatively to other games qualifiers, and we never will be able to unless they were to repeat them at some point, there are workouts with 45 parallel handstand push-ups, 10 legless rope climbs, a chunk of 30 muscle ups, 96 toes to bar, 300-foot handstand walk with 1 chunk of 100 GHDs. The ladies that make it through, you could make the argument, regardless of what you think the depth of the field is like, that they have maybe been tested, at least from a body weight standpoint, most like they will see at the games more than at any other semi.
Wow.
He didn't even mention 270 feet of, is it overhead walking lunge?
It's front rack, but I was just naming off the gymnastics chunks.
Yeah,
and we like that, right?
Increasing weights of squat snatches up to some considerable weights. I mean, this test is very challenging.
And we like this, right? We want it to be close to the games.
We want the people who make it through to be prepared for the games, for sure. Yeah.
Right. Would you argue that this is the best programming we've seen just out of all the semifinals then?
I think it's amongst the best. Like I mentioned briefly earlier, there's not a really long component. It's one of the few that chose not to have long distance running in addition to the shuttle runs. So you're missing a little bit there. Outside of that, I think it's pretty well-rounded and very, like JR was listing off all those things, and very high skill or demand.
And with this, we could also see some people having their shit like fully exposed.
Oh yeah, for sure. Especially in the women's field.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. Okay. I love it. I heard what you said.
Because of what he said is why I think it's going to be really hard for any of the guys to move out those top 4 guys.
Because they're CrossFitters. They're good at CrossFit.
If you look at, like if this was this test from Far East Throwdown, I think that 4 or 5 other guys have a chance to make an impact into maybe the 3, 4, 5 spot because it's not that demanding, not that high skill, not that high load. But with the way that this program sets up, I think it favors the people that will also be better at the games.
I love that. I feel like we're getting the right guys in.
Yeah. So and that's what JR is saying. Even though the women's field might not look great on paper, the women that make it out of here should be the best group of women to have the most success at the games. Like you're not going to get someone who comes through and is, I mean, it's
hey, we got all the ass women in this event, so we're going to make it the closest to CrossFit so that you don't get exposed at the games.
Hey, it's the same thing in Africa. That they get one spot. They don't do it very well on the worldwide leaderboards compared to any of the other continents, and they had to do 49 ring muscle ups.
Hey, does Jason Smith ever take last at the games?
Has he ever taken last?
Yeah,
he's had some really good finishes and some not as good finishes, but I don't know about last.
Because if he doesn't take last, it's kind of a success.
No, he had 10th his first year, 29th in 2019, and then 26th last year.
10th, 29th, 26th. Okay. Well, nope, not that. This. Brian, Brian and JR, what performances from all the semifinals so far has impressed you the most? Colton Mertens. I didn't mean
do you want to know what I think about Colton Mertens? I think he was almost perfect on 5 workouts, and that was really fun to watch.
JR?
Dallin Pepper, for sure. Just his composure, his execution, his professionalism. It just was really, really, really pleasant to be in person and watch happen. The way he paced his workouts, the way he didn't really worry about what was going on around him is just not something that you usually see from someone that young, and someone who, although most would argue was definitely good enough last year to qualify for the games, hasn't been there yet.
I hope he kills it at the games. Top 5, maybe.
That would be tough. There's I think there's a pretty stout group of 5 to 7 ahead of him.
Any rookies in the top 5?
Well, I don't think Roman counts as a rookie.
I think you're going to see something bad. I don't think you're going to be happy with Roman's performance. I think he falls out of the top 10.
It's possible.
I heard what you said about me on the Morning Chalk Up interview.
What I said about you?
Yes. Yeah, I heard you at 12:15, 12 minutes and 15 seconds.
What did I
You
say?
basically said that you pick people to win using logic, not whatever the fuck I use. I don't think that you slipped that in at the end of that show, and I didn't hear it. I heard it. What happened to switching to strength and depth? What happened to Emma Tall? She's the one. She's the one with big hubaloo, right? Last year.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it was a pretty intense upper respiratory infection that continued to progress into worse and worse infections.
You buying that, Brian?
I mean, what are we supposed to do other than take her at her word?
I don't know. It seems. Why wouldn't you just go anyway?
You mean? Well, I don't know. Maybe she was there and she just decided on the last day not to do it. I'm not sure where she is.
What do you mean on the last day? It hasn't started yet.
The day before the competition began.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. What do you think? You buying it, JR?
Yeah, I'm sure she's been training all year for this. I wouldn't see that if she could possibly go and even compete not 100%, I think she would have done it.
This is nuts. None of these guys on this Morning Chalk Up podcast picked Katrin David's daughter to win. This is nuts.
What do you mean?
She is a 2-time CrossFit Games champion.
Okay.
She's training with Annie Thorsdottir, who took 2nd place at the CrossFit Games last year.
Okay.
And you have her behind some fluke win that Emma McQuaid got at Wadapalooza. Jacqueline Dahlstrom, who if I can remember is too small. Samantha Briggs, who's too old. And then you have the great Katrin David's daughter. JR, help me. Tell him he's batshit crazy. He's out of his he's lost his edge. Tell me.
No. I mean, I think you've got to base some of this stuff on what have you done for me lately.
Okay.
And the trajectory and the trend lately has been exactly where Brian has her.
You saw her shit the bed at Rogue, and that's it. For her.
She never does very well at Rogue.
Okay.
Fair.
Good. Okay.
And then we also need to look at the programming here as well. I'm sure that the top 6 to 7 would change spots here and there based on what workouts come out.
I think Emma is the fittest of these women, and I think that you'll see that this weekend, and also you'll see that at the games. I think that Jacqueline Dahlstrom is a better version of herself than last year, and I do think the workouts are in her favor relative to some other things that could have come up. There's hardly anything heavy outside of the lift from the workouts that Strength and Depth had the opportunity to program.
You have a 40-year-old woman ahead of her, Brian.
Yeah. Did you look at the workouts, Sevan?
No, I didn't.
Sevan,
I did. I remember someone saying that this strength. And look at, I raised my voice at Brian. He raised it back at me. We did look at it that last show, and that we had a little debate, I think, on whether they were created for her or not. We decided they weren't, but that's how good they are, right? That it makes you wonder.
When I'm trying to decide who's going to be at the top of these leaderboards, one thing that I do is I look at the events and I say, well, what's the likelihood? This is basically what Tyler's podium rate stat is I look and I say, what's the chance that this person has a top 5 finish against this field in this workout? And I list out the top 5 that I expect in every workout. And for Sam Briggs, I had her on 5 of the 6 workouts that I expect her in the top 5.
Wow.
So we'll see. I mean, I think that it's, very likely that she has 5 in the top 10, not 5 in the top 5. But even so, I think that that's good enough to place her up there in the 3rd or 4th.
Do all the girls know that too? Do they all look at this and they're like, man, Sam's not the one you chase. Like, don't make her your rabbit.
The first workout's running, rowing, and double unders. I mean, what are you going to do against her in a workout like that? Even at 40, we've already seen it. We see in the women's field that you can be relevant into these upper echelons of ages, and she's continued to defy all this stuff. Her sole focus this year has been on having this chance. I don't think she knew for sure if she was going to get it or not when she got that chance as the last person to get a backfill to this semifinal. And she sees workouts like this. One of the workouts has 36 ring muscle-ups in it. That's amazing for her. The other one has a set of 75 toes to bar right in the middle of it. And most of the stuff in that workout is also stuff she's good at. The last workout, biking and burpees. I mean,
we did see her turn. Go ahead, Jared. Go ahead.
Going back to event 1, you asked, what can you do with Sam Briggs in a workout like this? But something that's really cool that you don't often think about is when you're running, not on a treadmill, you can get baited into someone else's pace. Sam can bait these athletes into coming out way too hot, and then they go to the rower and they just fall apart. But the nice thing about running on an air runner is no one's moving, and you don't really know where anyone is. So it's really easy for you to lock into a pace and not come out too hot and overreach, so that no matter what, even if you get crushed in the workout, you're not just burying yourself for the rest of the weekend, which you could see something like this happening in the heat, out on the pavement at the games.
We did see Sam's turn off at one of the games events last year. Basically, she was running, she was doing well, and then all of a sudden we literally saw her running just fall apart right before our eyes. Was that the toes to bar one?
The one Emily Rolfe won?
Yeah.
I guess so. Yeah.
What did Sam end up getting in that? She dropped more than one place.
I think she still did very well.
But she actually started falling apart. She started like doing this with her head, the waggle. like trying to build a locomotion with her head instead of her body.
Yeah, she finished 4th behind Emily Rolfe, Christy Aramo, and Haley Adams.
Oh,
And that was
Ahead
kind of a
ahead
do or
TA
die
Claire
event.
too.
okay. And
remember-
basically what you're saying is fuck off, Sevan. Those are like no shock there. Haley's engine's insane.
Haley beat her by
Arama's
1
engine-
second.
Yeah, crazy. Okay. All right.
Also, that was the workout that she knew she had to come out and crush because it was the reason why she missed that final cut. So had she been able to hold on in that workout, she ended up finishing 21st at the games. She would have made it through to that last day.
Oh, great point, JR. Great point. I knew I invited you on this show for a reason. Stuff that Brian misses. Sam Briggs at 40. This is kind of mind-boggling. Helga Doder, Helga Doder daughter at age 30. Emma McQuaid, 32. Jacqueline Dahlstrom, 30. And the youngest young lady in the group is our beloved 2-time CrossFit Games champion, Katrin David's daughter.
Someone made a comment today that the women I picked at this competition should all be in the nursing home.
Damn.
But
Yeah.
I did make an acknowledgement when I put out the rankings this morning that I am picking 10 veterans of the CrossFit Games, 5 men and 5 women, and I put it to the stories out there. Do you over under 1.5 rookies to make it? And it was interesting to see what people had said throughout the day. A lot of people like Solveig Sigurdardottir, a lot of people like Alex Katulis, and of course, as always, all the people in the UK love Reggie Fassa and Zach George.
Oh, I mean, Zach George is a savage.
So we'll
he's,
see.
He's huge. Let's
Yeah.
go over there and look at that. So I just want to say that yours are wrong, Brian. Just so
Okay.
you know.
Oh, well,
Why not put Sam in first then?
because I think Emma's going to beat her.
I know, but didn't she have a nickname, the Engine, Sam the Engine Briggs or something?
Yeah, but remember, one of the 6 tests is still a 1-rep max complex, so she's still going to take a hit on that.
Below top 20. 24th.
Yeah, that's something like that probably.
Yeah. So, wow. Okay, then third is actually pretty high. What's the lowest ranking? Do we know what the lowest ranking anyone's finished? Lowest placement someone's finished
Yes.
and gone to the games?
sure.
What is it? What is it?
Colton Mertens,
Colton's,
27th on the legless rope climb.
Oh,
Probably would have been 29th if it was earlier in the weekend and those 2 guys hadn't withdrawn.
who withdrew?
That's fact.
Chase Merrill and Kyle Bogman. So
Oh my goodness.
there were less points available. And there were more points available to him in that workout than there would have been at any other time in the weekend, and he needed those points.
Wow.
Everything went Merton's way that weekend.
He must be a Pisces.
Hey, he didn't do anything, he just played by the rules, and everyone else played by the rules that they were given, and it fell his way. But a lot of things went his way.
Yeah, that's crazy. Okay. What do you think? David Katrin's daughter is not going to be top 10 at the games this year? Why am I calling her David Katrin's daughter? Katrin David's daughter. I just screwed up her name on purpose so many times that now I can't even say it right when I want it.
Top 10 at the games. I don't think so.
She's not going to. Wow.
I mean,
JR?
I don't think she's going to be top 10.
Man.
I think that the absolute best she could do with the women that are already in there is like.
What did you see that makes you think that she's lost her mojo?
No, it's just that these other women have gotten better.
Okay. JR, what have you seen that's made you think she's lost her mojo?
No, I would just say that's the progression of the sport. They've gotten better and younger. It's becoming a young man and woman's game more than ever before.
Yeah, but that doesn't explain what you guys have going on here. Or what Brian does, he's got three grannies above her. He's got a 40-year-old above her, and then he's pointing to the programming.
Experience and execution still go a long way at this stage in the competition. There's only 6 tests.
Dallas is saying, will Katrin complete the legless rope climb? Why? She had issues with that before?
Yeah, she's gonna get a lot of camera time for that workout just because of the infamous experience in 2014, keeping her out of games, but also kind of paving the way to 2 championships.
She's charming and she's intense, and she's gonna line up and go to war. I wonder who's coming with her. I wonder if Yami's coming with her.
Good question.
Do
we could
know?
ask Tommy. He's over there.
At Strength and Depth.
Yeah.
Where are you going this weekend?
Nowhere.
You're staying at home.
Yeah, your offer was too good. I had to stay home this week.
You're a good dude, Brian. This event is taking place in the UK, the Strength and Depth.
Yeah, same place it was in 2019 and 2020.
Is that one of the reasons you're giving Sam Briggs top 5 and some home cooking? You think that the home field advantage will help? No travel, big crowd.
If I'm being totally honest here, I don't really want her to make the games. I think that there's other women that could have more of an impact there in more meaningful ways. Obviously, it would be a really cool thing for her to make it at 40, and most people would love that. But I think that, the way that JR talked about the programming of the Atlas Games, I don't feel like we can say the same thing about the program at Strength and Depth, and that's what's a shame to me. Absent of whether Sam makes it or anyone like that, is I look at these 2 sets of programming and I see something very, very different.
I got a note here. If Katrin doesn't win this, Houston, we have a problem. I think it's gonna be bad for her.
For Katrin?
Yeah.
In terms of what?
I just think in terms of her headspace. I think these are a bucket of Joes that she's got to beat. This is just, they're all older than her. She's the 2-time games champ. She trains with the best. Just all the stuff I said before. Her pedigree, her lineage, her training. It's going to be too much of a blow.
I don't know about that. I mean, I think she would look at this field and expect to finish in the top 3, but if she takes second to Emma McQuaid, I don't think she's going to be that upset.
JR?
Yeah, I think that ultimately this is still a step in the journey, still a step to the games. And if you ask her what her goal was, she would probably say to win this weekend, but more so her goal is to be ready and perform well at the games.
Yeah, that's what she's going to tell herself, but that's not really what she's going to be feeling. If Sam Briggs beats her, no bueno por tu casa, whatever that means. Oh shit, I didn't know Christoph competed.
Yeah, so Christoph was like somewhere in the 70s or 80s last year in the quarterfinals for Europe, so he didn't make it into the top 60. But he has, I'm actually super excited to watch him compete. He's one of the guys I'm most looking forward to at any division across semifinals, because he's one of these guys that online format is tough for him. And live person events, depending on what shows up there, he can actually do very, very well. And by what I mean by that is he can have multiple finishes in the top 5 that can keep him relevant throughout the weekend. He's very strong. He's good on the long stuff. He'll be fine on the legless rope climbs. He can cycle the moderate weight barbells and stuff like that pretty well. He just has to manage the gymnastics stuff. And, that one, I think he's going to have 4 good workouts and 2 bad workouts. And therefore, I think he'll finish kind of in the 7 to 10 range.
I always thought he was a bag carrier for Gabby. Is he also that? I don't mean that in a bad way, but does he have the focus? Does he have games aspirations?
Oh yeah. Christoph trains really, really hard, and he trains with Gabby and Jacqueline all year round and has for a couple of years. And John Singleton's pretty good. And they work well together, that group. When I had a chance to train with them last year before the games, there's some stuff that Christoph was really good at, and some stuff that you wouldn't expect someone who's that big to be good at, that he's figured out how to manage pretty well. And there are a couple things that are challenging for him, and a couple of those things are showing up in this competition. And I think you'll see the holes. But what I don't know is how far he's come in terms of shoring those up.
You're talking about ring muscle ups.
Well, he has ring muscle ups and pistols in the same workout. So that's the 2 for. And the other thing that kind of stinks about that is it's paired with something that he's good at, which is a hang power snatch. So he doesn't get probably as much bang for his buck as he could have on that in a different placement. But, we'll see if he can manage those workouts. There's been other guys, like you were asking about impressive performances. Anthony Davis was, even though he didn't make the games, I think of them kind of similar. These are some big dudes that have some really, really good things and some things that they're trying to improve on. And if he's made a similar improvement than Anthony made last year, then we're talking about outside chance at maybe sneaking the 5 spot.
As far as couples go, I mean, he obviously is with Gabby Magawa. She, some people think, she's the future of the sport. I don't think that's a misplaced belief or thought. Do you think that his training, I would say, and I have no proof of this, but would you say that her training definitely doesn't suffer because of him, but his might possibly suffer because of her?
Man, dude, I'm telling you, these 4 people moved out to Mallorca at the beginning of COVID, and I immediately identified as like, this could be a really good thing. And I think it's been good for every one of them.
Who are the 4?
Jacqueline Dahlstrom and Don Singleton, Gabby McGowan, and Christoph Horvath.
Wow. Okay. Wow. Oh, John Singleton, he lives out there.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Wow. So he's the only man. Not John Singleton, but Christoph's the only man.
There's other high level athletes that go there and train. Adrian Mundweiler spent a lot of time there this year training.
Okay. Huday's going.
Dude, the men's field is not I want to feel safe in this men's field regardless of who you are.
Yeah, I mean, it's not as, doesn't have really the name power that like the Atlas Games have, but like
they don't even get, sorry to interrupt, Jared, they don't even get
no. They're all the strength and depth are on the same post.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Sorry, go on. Okay. Right. Go on, JR. Sorry, I was about to blast. Brian.
I was just going to say, they've got 4 games athletes from last year. Yana was 6th, Houday was 15th, Hapalainen was 18th, and Karavis was in the 30s. But I mean, they've still got a really, really good field here, especially at the top.
Will this be Willie George's first time to the games if he makes it?
No.
How many times has he been?
I think 1, maybe 2. I can't remember about 2019. Yeah, 2019, 2 years. 9th and 21st.
And he's not a young. I think I had him on the podcast, and I don't remember him being a young buck.
I think he's mid-20s at the oldest.
You had him on the podcast?
Yeah.
Are you sure about that?
Is he beautiful? Like one of the most beautiful men you could ever see? He's in the UK. He looks like a model. Oh, yeah. He looks like an underwear model.
That's it. You're right. I remember him now. He's 29. And he's a top-seeded guy coming in out of all these men.
Yanikoski, do you know if he's injury-free?
Well, I mean, I haven't asked him, but he seems to have been making good progressions throughout the course of the season after having surgery. And I think that if he's competing this weekend, he's probably very confident that he can do everything that's required of him.
JR, any thoughts on Yanikoski?
I mean, same thoughts with him and Willie. I mean, as long as both of them are healthy, I think it's going to be really close between the 2 of them for who wins.
I feel when I think of Yanikoski, I think of a man who's plagued with injuries. I think of an athlete who's plagued with injuries. Who's coaching him these days?
I'm not entirely sure.
Thoughts, JR? And how about Willie? Do you know who's coaching Willie?
I don't know who coaches either of those guys.
How about anyone in the top 5? You know any of their coaches?
You know that he has 4 top 10 finishes in his career, right, Yanikoski? And he's 27 years old.
At the games?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like Europe's Scott Panchek. No, that's Bjorgvin has that, huh?
Well, he seems to get like the specialist title because he always wins swimming workouts. I know Houday, I'm pretty sure, does his own programming, or at least has his own program design that he puts out, and he trains exclusively at his home by himself, which is a pretty cool story.
I think Houday might be really young.
Nope. He just started a little bit later.
And he's just kind of popped up on.
Or he became relevant a little bit later. He's 28. A lot of these guys, this is actually, I remember looking at this field. There's a huge percentage of men in this field that are 27, 8, or 9 years old.
Oh, I didn't have Willie George on the.
I don't think he speaks too much English.
I had Zach George. I'm like, what? How about Zach George? Does Zach George have a chance?
You realize how bad your question was, right?
I
Is he a
mean,
very good-looking guy?
Zach George is extremely handsome man.
I know, but I think that most of these guys would probably be considered that.
I agree, but this guy's not normal. This guy Zach George is not a normal human being. He's a fucking brick shithouse, and he's.
Do you think there should be a Zach George playing card?
And he's got a weight loss rate. Hey, so Zach George isn't even on your list.
There's another. You go to the right.
Okay.
There's still good men on this part of the list.
Okay. Number 13. That's not good. You're coming out of the UK and you're 13th. It's no respect. There's no respect on his name. You know it's true. There was an interview today. I don't know if you guys want to talk about it. Maybe we can touch on it a little bit. There was an interview today on the Morning Chalk Up before we go over to South America, where they talked about the influence of Dave coming back. Did you guys see that? And I thought it was fascinating that they had James Hobart on there, who works at CrossFit HQ, right? And Adrian Conway, who I believe is on the L1 team. Did you guys get a chance to see that video?
I didn't get to watch it.
The Khaleesi pushed really hard, Lauren Khalil, regarding. She pushed James and Adrian really hard. She asked the same question 3 or 4 times, wouldn't let him off the hook regarding what Dave's influence is going to be on the games. And she finally got out of Adrian. He's such a strong leader that he won't be able to just have one toe in the games. So he's either going to be all in, or all out. And they basically made it sound like he's going to be all out. And then when Adrian finally said that, James Hobart agreed. I'm paraphrasing. Do you guys have any thoughts or comments? Don't feel obligated to.
Well, let me just. I think one of us knows Dave really, really well.
Yes.
And it's not me.
Right.
Do you think that he'll be able to stay all out?
I thought it was a very astute observation on Adrian Conway's part, but I do think that Dave has, if he's coming back, that he will reinvent himself in some respect, in some element. So I think if they wanted his help, they could, but I think it's hard. Here's the deal. Everyone's first CrossFit gym is their favorite CrossFit gym, and their fucking best coach in the world ever was there. And then when they go to their second CrossFit gym, all they do is miss their old CrossFit gym. And so there's going to be a group of people there, no matter what, who are always going to love Dave. It just so happens that he probably is the greatest leader that any of those people have ever worked with also. And the most professional and the most demanding, and believes in you the most, and all of those characteristics that you can't even believe one human being embodies. And so in that respect, I don't even think he has to put one toe in. I think when people see him, they're going to gravitate towards him. And I just think that's the nature of who he is. Like the way kids gravitate to an ice cream truck.
The way I see him is as a very disciplined individual. And so I think that he's, I do believe that he cares about the position that he's coming back in, and means the things that he says about trying to have an impact on the continued growth and development of the affiliates.
Right.
And I don't think that I think that they'll just let him come to him. Like you said, he won't, he'll do his job. And if they come and talk to him about it, then he'll say, okay, we'll have a conversation at that point.
I do not avoid James Hobart. I do not avoid James Hobart. Do you have anything you want to say, JR? Any thoughts about Dave coming back and its direct impact on? I mean, you're an affiliate owner also, but specifically, do you have any effect it'll have on the games?
Yeah, I think if he's more accessible to the people that are in charge of that, they're not going to be able to help themselves here and there asking him for feedback. And I'm sure he's the kind of guy that isn't going to withhold that from them.
Adrian Conway also said that he was a little resistant, maybe. I'm paraphrasing, to compete in the Masters this year, but with Dave back, there's a bit of excitement back, and it makes him now want to compete as a Masters again. And I mean, that's the whole thing with the weigh-ins for UFC. If Dana White's not doing the weigh-in, I don't watch it. But if Dana White's doing, I want to see him between the two fighters for some reason. I don't even know why. But I do think that Dave has that mystique and that piece. People want to see him marching around on the field. And I think they're going to miss that. But they kind of hope because he's back, they might see it. You know what I mean?
Well, we'll find out in a couple months.
T. Elliott Field, $20. Sorry for the sidebar. What's the deal with Afro brutality? When Greg tweeted, he got a little wild. What's the deal? I don't understand the question, but for $20, you can hit me up in my DMs and I'll give you an answer that's at least a partial truth. Okay. Guy will hit 375 in the complex and go 6 for 6. Let's go over there and mess with. And by the way, good job, Lauren Khalil, for pushing them on that. I know they really tried avoiding that, answering that. Stayed on it. Okay, share this page. I think people are going to be disappointed with what they see from Guy. I don't think he has anything to prove there. It's not his fault, right?
We'll see. I think that this is a tougher field than most people recognize.
Oh, geez. Here we go.
Well, there's not.
I appreciate it, but you could have hyped up the women's field and Atlas games 10 times easier than you're going to hype this up. But I appreciate it. This is going to be good.
No, that's not true, because we know the women that are competing at Atlas games. These are people that you hardly ever get to see. And I'm not saying that they'd be fantastic necessarily at the games, but I am saying that there's 3 to 5 guys that you probably don't know that are relevant for these 2 game spots when you think that they're not. Most people are looking at this field. They see Guy. They probably think Agustin Riquelme, and they probably don't know very many other of these guys unless they're from South America.
I only know these guys because you talk. The only reason why anyone knows any of these guys north of Tijuana is because of you, Brian. That's seriously all you dudes should Venmo Brian $5 every time he says your name. He even says it right. Agustin Riquelme. Do you have, before we let Brian tear into this a little bit, JR, do you think that there's any that there is going to be some excitement down here? Do you see any names here that you're like, okay, yeah, I want to watch that?
Yeah, I know, like Primo and Shalfoun. I know those are 2 guys that are probably going to do well on a handful of events. In any competition where you have 6 workouts, one of them is elimination style, where one mix-up could automatically put you in the bottom 10 athletes. And then when another one has a long workout with swimming, anything can happen there.
Wait, there's a swimming workout down here?
Mm-hmm.
When was that announced?
I don't know, a week ago or something like that. Maybe even longer. They were a little early with some of theirs.
And that kind of puts an end to that argument also that South Africa was the only one with the swim event.
Oh, yeah. I think I have an article coming out tomorrow that is the final of those series that shows some of the variability of programming across the 10 semifinals.
And in the comments here, people were saying early on, or I saw somewhere, please talk about the programming at Copa Sur, because it is the best programming out of all the semifinals. Any thoughts on that? First of all, is there a hint of truth to that? Is there an argument for them being the best?
JR, you first.
I think, like most things, it depends on what you like.
So that means the answer. So you're saying the programming here is not bad?
No, it's not bad.
Okay. They have the flow of the weekend is going to be pretty interesting. They have a kind of a standard, semifinal style workout to open things up, but then they have a 40-minute time cap run, swim, run workout that's going to be, it's going to be long, and for some people it's going to be hard, and that's a pretty tough opening day. But the middle day is the 2 CrossFit workouts. So they have the lifting in the morning and the legless rope climbs in the evening, which means that for the men, they've got like 5 or 6 minutes of competition that day, and they just have to execute really, really well. So you come off this super long day, tough chipper, long grinding, running, swimming, have a really short day with high power output and high demand for execution on the legless rope climbs and the lifting, of course. And then the last day is the day that I think, this is where it's like, is this something that you like or you don't like? So they have 2 workouts that have variable time domains, And the last workout is this elimination style workout that they have featured before at the Brazil CrossFit Championships during the sanctional season.
And what's that? What's the elimination workout?
JR can explain it well, I think.
Yeah. So they take the total field and they do 30 calories on the rower for the guys, 20 for the females, a 24-meter handstand walk, which is about 80 feet, 15 or 10 calories on the rower, and then a 12-meter handstand walk, so about 40 feet. And then after that, they eliminate all but the top 10. They reset, and then they do 5 elimination rounds with some amount of rest in between of 20 and 15 calorie row for the females with a 12-meter handstand walk. So very short sprint. And they keep eliminating down to 2, and then you'll have a winner.
Wow. Wait. So 30 cal row, 20-foot handstand walk, 10 or 15 calories on the row, then 20-foot handstand walk or 20 meter, whatever you said. But then after that, they're just couplets.
Yeah. After that, it will just be like they're doing half of that.
So they eliminate 20 guys, and those guys take spots 11 through 30 based on
Yeah.
their time. The
Okay.
remaining 10 line up, and all of us would just do a 20-calorie row and walk on our hands and cross the finish line. The last 2 guys are out. They get 9th and 10th. Then those 8 guys go back to the start. They line up on the rower, 20 calories, handstand walk, 2 more are out.
I think I like it.
It's the final, and there's only 2 spots there. So it'll be interesting to see where the relevant players end up finishing. If someone's in second place and they don't make the top 10, then they have a fixed number of points and they're just watching, and they'll know if that guy makes it this far, he beats me. If that guy makes it this far, he beats me.
Right.
Or you could have all of them make the top 10 where it's literally this, like, I know I have to just beat this guy. As long as I beat this guy, I'm in. And you just have to try to keep beating him over and over again while there's, 8 other guys on the floor. So lots of different scenarios, and therefore it can make it very exciting.
Where did we see this first? I mean, I know the first time I think I can remember seeing it is Rogue
So
last
I
year.
think, so
But
I
is
think
it way before then?
it is. Yeah. Brian may know this, but I think the first time we saw it, I want to say it was at a Latin American event, and it was assault bike with overhead walking lunge.
It was the Brazil CrossFit Championships.
Yeah.
It just depends on what you mean. Like, we've seen elimination style events going back much further than that at the CrossFit Games with the snatch ladders and speed ladders and whatever. But this is that if you're thinking of something that sounds similar to this, it's probably from the same part of the world and a sanctional that they had there in 2019.
I love it. I mean,
Well, this is
obviously, it'd be
something-
more powerful if they had 5 people they were sending. It would be significantly more powerful. The whole showmanship of it could be ruined if in the first round or going into the workout we already know it's Guy and some other dude going to the games.
That's
Right.
true. And also, too, it's the kind of workout that you have questions when you see written, because you want to know, is there going to be 1 rower per lane, or will the athletes have 2 rowers? Will they row, jump off, sprint 80 feet on their hands, get into the next rower, sprint again, jump off, and handstand walk to the finish? Or will they have to handstand walk down, stop, kick down, kick back up, handstand walk back to their rower, get back on the same machine, and do it that way? Because they're very different workouts if you do them like that.
With different winners?
Well, in a workout that's probably only going to be separated by,
Small margins.
gosh, I would say similar to the thruster handstand walk workout at Granite Games. That's how tight it will probably be. Then it's gonna matter how efficiently you get in on and off of the rower.
It's amazing that the handstand walk has now become a handstand. It's like a race now. In the early days, it was just like, shit, you just got to complete it and you're probably good. And now there's people basically running on their hands.
Yeah, and one thing I will say about it is it's the last workout of the weekend. So when you think about athletes that are eliminated early, only walking like 120 feet on their hands, it's not like they're being saved for anything to follow. So the longer you stay in it, the more work you do, you get rewarded by that with higher placings, which is good.
Does Guy end up ever winning the CrossFit Games?
Hey, it's too early to say. What we've seen with certain athletes over the course of the time that we've been studying the sport or having the sport is sometimes it's really easy for people to overcome deficiencies that they have in their fitness, and sometimes it's not. And I think that we need to see at the games this year how he does on certain events and how far that's come in a year when he's been training in a different environment where it should be improving. And if it hasn't come very far this year, then I think the answer to that question is a lot less likely.
And if there were two or let's say three movements, JR, that you would like to see, that you're going to be looking at, the whole world's going to be looking at to see if Guy improved on, what are they?
Easy answer. I mean,
probably snatching.
Right. Squat snatching.
The easy answer is probably just going to be the long endurance test. That single modality with the running and the swimming. Everyone wants to know, can he go long? Has that improved? Has his aerobic capacity improved? Has his muscular endurance improved in longer workouts? John Young's comment here is really good if you guys want to pull that up. I like that.
No, I don't want to.
Okay.
John Young, who's been on the show many times. I personally don't like events like this because it values execution over fitness.
Well, this is what JR was saying.
So this is interesting because
I thought about that for a second, but then I quickly recoiled because, and that's where the statement came. Hey, now they race on their hands. Well, so like I understand John saying that maybe 4 years ago, but does that stick now? Sorry, go on, JR.
I think it's good if you have one workout that's limited by that ability to execute. But let's look at the competition as a whole. The legless rope climb for most people is exactly testing this. Your ability to execute and do everything the way that you need to do it, regardless of what's happening left or right. When you have a lifting event, that's primarily execution based also. Within 5 or 10 pounds what you're capable of hitting. Do you go out there and do you execute? So not letting fitness be the limiter. Are we testing fitness? Or are we testing the ability to execute comparatively to the field and not make a mistake? There's a big difference.
As opposed to something that's just grunt work, you're saying thrusters and echo bike couplet.
Just more so capacity based versus execution based. And I think it's fine to have a workout like that.
But you agree with John, there shouldn't be 3, I guess what you're saying.
I don't think there should be 2 or 3 in a 6 competition event. 6 workout competition, sorry.
All right, Mr. Young, you win. You win until next time. Let's go back to Guy here really quick. So the issue isn't that he can't run, it's that he can't run far. He's no Forrest Gump. The issue isn't that he can't swim. So I would have said, hey, what I would like to see him improve on is his running, but it's not his running. What you're saying is it's his endurance. There's some time domain. You're saying over 7 minutes, the wheels fall off the bus of Mr. Guillermo.
Well, he did great at the 550-meter sprint last year at the games. That was one of his.
And that's short, right?
Correct.
Or should I say that's the longest short workout? Like in terms of running, it's 100, like 200 meters would be a short run.
Brian, do you remember how he did on the toast bar workout?
Yeah. So
great question.
These are his bad workouts at the games. Event 1, he got 22nd. It was an hour and 14 minutes. Event 4, he got 27th. It was 17 minutes cap. He got capped. Event 5, 26th, 13 and a half minutes. Event 10, 27th, 24, 38. That was the toes to bar. And so all these workouts that he's doing bad in are taking, a long amount of time. And you look at the workouts he's done well in: 6th place, 8 minutes; 1st place, 1 minute; 8th place, 6 minutes; 1st place, 5 minutes; 5th place, 3 minutes. So it's a very tight correlation. The shorter the workout, the better he does. And obviously the lifting also doing well. And these long workouts where he has his worst finishes. So he, like I mentioned, he's in an environment where he's training with Rich Froning, who has this great experience over probably the last 7 or 8 years of consistently developing an aerobic base. They run a lot and they swim a lot and they bike a lot, and they have, the influence of Hinshaw very heavily felt there. Guy's in that environment where they're doing that consistently. What I'm wondering is how much of a correlation will that have to his ability to perform on those workouts in just a year doing it? And if it's a high adaptation rate, that's a good sign for him towards being able to potentially win the games at some point. If it's a slow adaptation rate and he's continuing to take 20th place finishes against the games field on these workouts, even after having a year there, I have a little bit more hesitancy seeing if he can ever actually break into the podium conversation.
He's only 22.
Right. Same as Haley Adams.
Right. And on piggybacking off of what Brian said, it not only is the Mayhem Empire amazing in regards to just or pretty strong in their aerobic capacity workout, but Haley's one of the best ever to be in the game, right?
And she improved. She was already good, and she improved by spending time in Mayhem and doing those style of workouts as part of their regular training consistently over time.
I wonder what time it is there. If I sent Guy,
he's like probably 4 or 5 hours ahead of you, so he's sleeping. So maybe
he's
not.
Sleeping. Don't send him. Okay.
Yeah, and if we want the answer to that question, we're not going to get it this weekend. I don't think at all. I mean, take a look at the time caps. There's a 14-minute cap, a 40-minute cap, an 11-minute cap for the legless, but anyone who's relevant, there's a 4-minute cap there. There's a 10-minute cap on the thruster ring muscle up workout, and then there are 4-minute and 2-minute caps on the finale. So going back to the chipper, which is what they do before the swimming workout, that's a 14-minute cap, and the way I'm looking at that workout, there's going to be people sub 12, so we can't even put that into the longer time domain.
So we there was some joking around that strength and depth may have had some home cooking for Sam Briggs, but it seems like the same could be said here at Copa Sur, right? This is Guy's.
Oh, this is one of the things that's kind of interesting about the semifinal season. You know, it's the way that it's written is that the semifinals are supposed to submit their workouts and have them approved by CrossFit before the semifinal fields are seeded. However, in North America and Europe, there's a diversity of field. In South America, anyone who has a chance, you already know they're going there. So you already know the field you're programming for. Same thing with Africa, same thing with Australia and Asia, which is why I don't think that the programmers in those countries should be, or for those continents, should be relevant at all in any part of that country's CrossFit ecosystem.
The way you said that in the beginning is that they weren't. Did you know if besides South America, if the other ones that the workouts were done before the seeding, did they accomplish that goal?
Yeah, I think so. I'm skeptical of the fact that might have been part of the reason why it took so long to finalize quarterfinal rosters. Even is because they were waiting for some who were a little bit slower, or they needed to have more back and forth with.
Pay attention, Brian. Sevan is ready to lose it. You're lucky you're not vaping, or it'd be over. That's I had a guest the other day that was a fucking complete shit show. Fucking what a mess. Did you see that video I posted on my Instagram of this guy, Brian?
I'm not sure.
Okay, well, I need to show it to you. Okay, hold on. I want to share something here. This just so I guess Danny Horan's name is Danielle Jenny now.
Mm-hmm.
This is a post from hers from June 2nd. Thanks for sending this over, gentlemen. 7 months ago, I had elbow surgery, ulnar nerve transportation, pieces of floating bone removed, bone spurs removed, and a total cleanup. 6 months ago, I was in a metal brace trying to get my range of motion back in my arm. 5 months ago, I started being able to use my left arm. Next Friday, I get to compete at the Atlas Games. Although my training has looked drastically different this year, and I may not be where I want to be, I'm truly grateful for the opportunity to compete next week. All right. I'm off to Danny Horan train. Scudds, I'm all in. Scudds, I'm all in. I know. Hunter was vaping, but Hunter was Hunter talks like a champ. Hunter talks like a champ. He's 22 years old. You would think that anything is possible with Guy. Anything is possible. But what you're saying is that if this year, if we do see some movement and some improvement, that he could be a threat to Justin. But as of right now, who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I think that what you'd say about a guy like this who clearly has certain athletic potential that people will never have is that he has a super high ceiling. So he has the potential to be excellent, great.
Is he the greatest games lifter in the history of games competition? Is he the great, since let's say 2015? Are there any lifters better than him who've been to the games?
I would argue Fraser is about as good consistently as you can be. But if Guy continues to win every lifting workout, you could probably start to say that.
Mr. Friend.
That's a great answer.
Okay. That'll be your final answer.
Something that we can't stop reminding ourselves and everyone else of is that this is the first year that this sport is not going to be programmed by one person. So we don't know how they're going to test fitness. One would assume that the fittest is still going to win, but that doesn't mean that all the other spots are just going to fall where they should or where we think they will based on previous year's games tests.
Wow. Brian, any validity to that?
Yeah, I think that even through the last couple stages of the season, when we in the quarterfinals and then the Masters semifinals, there's certain elements of programming that you can see that Adrian Bosman and whoever he's working with are willing to experiment and try. And I don't think that we'll see, I think that we'll see something similar at the games where he's going to, he's been around Dave forever watching this stuff. I'm sure that just like anyone else, he's got ideas about little things that he thinks could be better or maybe things that he wanted to see in there at some point that Dave either said no to or wasn't ready to have in there yet. So I think we'll see a couple things, different stylistic, maybe who knows, new movement or different combination of movements that he's potentially been thinking about for a while, actually.
I will say this. I don't think Dave was what's the word, grooming anyone for that position. I think that the vast majority of what Dave did, he did. Do
you understand what I'm saying, though?
Yeah, I do understand. I do understand what you're saying.
Like when I go to JR's competitions,
I think I do. Go ahead. Yep.
I see him and I talk to him and he tells me about the thoughts behind them, and I might say, man, that's amazing. But I might also have a thought of, what if you tried this? You know? And he might say, yeah, I thought about that, but I didn't want to do it because this. And I'll still think in my mind, no, but I think it would have worked. And then when I have an opportunity to program something, maybe I'll put that into action. And I'm sure that Adrian's had moments like that over the last decade.
Right.
And imagine how many times he's just sat there and not said a word, and how much he's been able to learn from the, no, let's try it this way. No, let's do this instead. Okay, we know that doesn't work. And then there's probably been a handful of times he's said, what if you do this? And it's been taken and Dave's ran with it. And there's probably been another handful of times where he hasn't said anything at all. But now that's on him to try those things if that's what he wants to do.
And and especially, I think the thing that could be interesting is to see if he's learned what not to do. Because sometimes when you're too close to the situation, maybe Dave has, if someone that has a more maybe outsider objective perspective, you could say, no, Dave kept making the same mistakes over and over and over. And it would maybe be critical, but that's okay. And so maybe Adrian's identified some of those and he said, maybe it's something as simple as where you place a workout in the weekend. Oh, he's always placing this style of workout on Sunday morning. What if we move that style workout to Friday night? A midline destruction workout to Friday night.
Yeah. Will there be cuts at all? And if there are, how many will there be? We already know the schedule is a little different. They're going to go all the way through 4 straight days, and they're not going to take a day. They're not going to take a recovery day in between this year. So all that stuff could.
That's official. They've said that. That's known.
Yeah, that was released maybe when the change was made, like maybe 6 months ago, 4 or 5 months ago.
I didn't even think of that. I should have done that. So it's interesting. We're talking about the athletes who are going to compete this weekend at the semifinals. We already know the huge chunk of athletes are going to the CrossFit Games this year. We're talking about who is the best. And J.R. Howell brings up, let's not forget that although the games will still be in Madison, the people programming them are different. And it's the first time it's happened in 15 or in 16 years. This is the 16th CrossFit Games. Dave Castro has programmed all of them before. And when we think about them, there's an outside element now. We can't just be thinking about Sam Briggs being 40 and being a great runner. We have to think, okay, who's programming the games, and is that going to affect the winner?
Or just the leaderboard in general. I think that JR is saying it's less likely to affect the winner, but it's potentially more likely to have some variability in the everywhere along the leaderboard. There's like 5 to 8 people that are jostling for positions, right? And and how those shake out could be influenced based on a certain cut system, a certain scoring system, the placement of certain workouts. I mean, look at the one year that they had the swimming workout late in the weekend, they'd already cut the field down to 10, and it's like, well, it was a great idea to have the swimming workout late after you've done 3 days of game style workouts. Now let's see how you handle being in the water. But you're only testing 10 out of whatever 150 people that were originally lining up for that competition.
This is crazy important what these two guys are suggesting here. The order of the workouts, the placement of them, the cuts, but also earlier Brian shared an example where last weekend 2 athletes dropped out of the competition by the final day that probably would have beaten Colton Mertens in that final workout and prevented him from going to the games. So all these factors are fascinating. It is interesting, even just the order of the events, the order. Yeah. So they've told us it's going to be 4 days straight, but is there any definitive answer on whether there's going to be cuts or not?
I haven't heard anything about cuts.
Okay. I'm going to guess that they will not do cuts because it's highly unpopular. And I would suggest that one of the things that this group of programmers will be influenced by that Dave was not ever influenced by is outside opinion or suggestions and outside pressures. And I don't think Dave would have ever felt that. So for instance, yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. The women at Copa Sur, it's the last group of people we haven't talked about anyone in this. Is there a gi amongst this group? Is there a woman who is like, yeah, she's got it?
Yeah, well, look, both of the women that qualified last year out of South America are not competing this year. Obviously, everyone knows what happened with Laurie, and Sasha Nieves is competing on a team with Mayhem Independence.
What happened to Laurie? Popped?
Yeah, but she was able to prove contaminated supplement.
Oh, she was? People actually, wow.
Yeah, so she got a 2-year ban, right? 4-year reduction.
Wait, you prove that it's contaminated and you still take one?
2 years instead of 4.
Wow. Okay.
Anyway, there was those 2 women and Melina Rodriguez were the 3 women that everyone thought would be battling for 2 spots last year at this semifinal. Melina did this semifinal last year online while she had COVID, and she finished 14th, which is way below her relative capacity. I think that she's a favorite to win this competition. However, there are 3 women in Brazil in no particular order, Victoria Campos, Luisa Marquez, and Julia Cato, that I think are all pretty scary competitors also. Then probably 2 of those 4 will take the game spots.
I don't know if you can see this picture. By the way, I did the semifinals last week with COVID also. I don't know if you can see this picture. Can you see that picture right there? Oh, damn. What was her name? Melina Rodriguez. She is, oh man, I wish you could see that. It's, she's thrown a sandbag over her shoulder and she's almost into a back bend. Do you see that?
Yeah, I can see it now.
It's nuts. I wonder if I click her profile, if I can make it even bigger. Nope. Is that good for your back right there?
I would say no, and I think that's why a lot of competitions, it's easier to judge, but it's also a little better for your body if you just go to the shoulder and then drop in front, versus going over the shoulder.
Ooh. Brian, I'm sorry, you mentioned her and then 3 women from Brazil. Those are the women who are going to be challenging her, but Melina Rodriguez is your favorite pick?
Yeah, she is.
Okay. JR, do you have any clue who any of these people are besides any of them?
My pick is Campos.
Campos. She's from Brazil.
Yeah,
Correct.
there are a lot of people really high on Victoria Campos. I got many DMs about her in the last couple of days.
Tell me if you see her. Okay, here she is. Age 29, 140 pounds. So the women who went to the CrossFit Games last year from this division are not here. Have any of these other women ever been to the CrossFit Games before?
I think yes, as national champions.
Okay, that doesn't count.
Then no.
Okay, well, that's exciting for them. They're going to send 2 new people. That's really exciting for them. They're pumped. Those girls are all there to win it.
Yeah, Melina actually did make it in both 2019 and 2020. In 2019, she did one workout, and in 2020, she did all the online workouts.
Okay. That was the year that only 5 people went to the games, 5 men, 5 women.
Yeah, and Carol Calling from Paraguay has also made it in 2019. And I think this will be it too.
I'm trying to think who I asked this question to, but I said, how far are we off from, maybe it was James Townsend who answered it. I said, how far are we from seeing from someone from China win the CrossFit Games? More than 10 years? And he said, absolutely. Is there this women's division here? Do we see any growth here? Is there anyone that's like, man, they're 5 years away from having a top 10 girl who's in the mix? We're going to get a household name out of this group eventually. I mean, sooner before I die, I'm 50.
Part of the problem with these, what I call is the minor continents, is that, like in Asia, half or less of the people who've qualified there actually show up to the games and compete, men, women, and teams. And in South America last year, Laurie didn't get to compete. I think Augustine got injured. Sasha didn't have a great weekend. So we're not seeing anything really from these athletes except for Guy. And so we'll see this year if Roman's able to have a great performance. Otherwise, in Asia, it's generally been back of the pack, injured, or didn't show up at all. And that's why I think that, there needs to be some kind of an accountability in terms of performance and how they go about distinguishing or distributing game spots. And if you're not showing up, that counts against your continent. Like that counts as a last place finish, and it hurts your rating or however you do it going into the next season. And if you have people that continue to show up and are finishing in the bottom 10 every single year, you should factor that in. If they start breaking in like the women in Australia did, they weren't having great performances there. And then all of a sudden, Cara has a couple good ones. Tia starts being amazing. Jamie Simmons comes along, and it's just like, wow. Maddie Sturt, the year she's made it, is in right around the midway point. And I think that's in the same light. They should be rewarded for that. They should open up a spot in their region for some of the younger athletes that are inspired by them and coming up behind them.
But you are not arguing for another spot from South America.
I think it should be based on performance, and based on their performance so far, I think they have too many spots probably.
Ouch. I think I hear you, and you have me convinced that Australia needs more, but I do think you need a bare minimum that seeds the sport. And I don't think I think how many do they have out of South America? 2?
2.
Yeah.
What sucks is that 2 people could theoretically, we don't have the problem yet, could clog it up for a really long time. So if there's if it's Guy, and then there's
we don't have that problem. Jason Smith's been that guy in Africa every year that's been available.
But at least but at least then there's one more spot for it, is what I'm saying.
There's the only spot.
Oh yeah, well then they got to let one more. I think you need at least 2. You got to have enough to where at least you can seed it, I think.
What if they just keep getting in and finishing 39th and 40th year after year after year? What's the point? We're talking about the pinnacle of the sport. There's a lot of other opportunities for stuff like that. I want to see a field of 40 athletes that can actually make a difference on the points, the relative points in a variety of different workouts. I don't want to see 10 of the athletes that are just exchanging bottom 10 finishes over and over.
I hear you. Yeah, I do have long COVID. Sevan, did I hear you correctly in the earlier podcast today that you don't use a 20-pound ball? No, I definitely don't use a 20-pound ball. 20-pound balls for even morons. I have a 4-pound ball. It's the stimulus I choose. Tomorrow at 7 a.m. the teams will start. Forget that. 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. The teams will start at Strength and Depth. That is Friday, June 10th. So at 8 a.m. that starts. Oh, we have something crazier. Copa Sur starts actually at 5:24 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. The individual events. And if you really just care about Atlas Games, you can sleep in. Event 1 doesn't start till 12:20 p.m. Aren't they 8 hours ahead of us over there?
What?
Aren't they 8 hours ahead of California over at the Atlas Games?
In
It's in
Canada?
the East Coast.
Oh, right. Sorry. I'm confusing it with Strength and Depth. Okay, 3 hours ahead. Okay, good. That makes sense. I was like, wait, what's going on? It's going to be big. Are you guys going to try to watch all of these? Are you going to sit in front of a TV and be just hammering these, watching these all weekend, Brian?
Yeah, I'm covering both Strength and Depth and Atlas Games for the morning chalk up, so I got to watch a lot of CrossFit the next 3 days.
You're going to be doing a bunch of shows with the Khaleesi?
Yeah, you want to come on one?
Please
Sorry,
have me
we're
on.
booked already.
I use the 4-pound ball for sandbag cleans. That's correct.
To the
That's
shoulder or over the shoulder?
No, just to the shoulder and back down in the front. I don't even throw it out. I don't want to look like Melina Rodriguez or whatever her name is.
That's actually really good. I'm impressed.
Fold myself in half. JR, what are you doing this weekend? Are you watching all of these?
Yeah, I'll be watching them, coaching, chasing kids. But I'll be
Okay.
watching a lot.
Taylor, once again, buddy, love you, and we're really, really rooting for you, buddy, praying for you. Anyone who wants to bug Taylor, go over to his he's just gonna be sitting around with his thumb in his ass for a few days here, a month. I don't know how long it's gonna be, but this is his Instagram. Taylor, Taylor mid MID self SELF. He's only got 3,274 followers. That means no one's in his DMs bugging him. So just get over there, Taylor mid self, and just hammer him. If you have some nudes you're willing to part with, send them over. He's into that shit. JR, thanks for coming on, buddy.
It's a pleasure as always, man.
I'll see you tomorrow. Hopefully, I'll send you guys some links. Brian, thanks for coming on. Hopefully, I'll send you some links tomorrow.
Okay.
And